All right, everyone, welcome to the TN Mortgage Podcast, episode number 19, with your host, John Coleman.
Hello, everyone. Lovely to be talking to you again today, Noam. And today we're going to be talking about the more serious side of the mortgage is actually insurance and making sure you and your family are well protected. And just bringing the news that we have teamed up with Irish Life to bring something to you all. This is definitely not an upbeat subject, right? And I'm going to call it out as I see it, as in this is not something, but it's massively important. Literally, I came back on Tuesday, and a client of ours who had closed their mortgage 4 months ago had been diagnosed, unfortunately, with cancer.
Oh, no.
Now, the bank only would require her to have insurance if she dies, right? That's all. Yeah. The bank only care about themselves, okay? They don't care about the person per se. They only look after their interests. The client, when we were looking at this, decided they wanted to take out kind of what they call a serious illness cover. Now, and she took it out for the full amount of the mortgage. So when she was talking to my colleague, and God love her, she was in a very bad place because she didn't even fully remember 4 months ago. When something you get news like that, you forget everything basically. But we were able to tell her that financially she was going to be okay. She was going to be able to focus on recovery basically, because she was worried. Okay, God. Her husband was going to have to stop working to look after the children, basically. But she also had so she was like very well covered. Like her mortgage would be cleared, but also through her work, she had what they call as an income protection policy, which kicks in after 3 to 6 months, where her income would be paid. It's her income. So she would still be getting an income. Her mortgage would be cleared, and her husband can basically look after the kids. So, and you can focus on recovery. Now, insurance, everyone feels it's a wasted money until something's wrong, basically, right?
You don't need it till you need it. Then you really need it.
You don't need it. And my role, I don't like having downbeat conversations. I'm all about helping people achieve a positive outcome, which is ultimately great experience in relation to buying a house. That's a journey I like being involved because it's a happy journey, shall we say? Because ultimately, when you get the keys to your house, you feel incredible about yourself.
Yeah.
But the other side of the coin is if something goes wrong, right? We are obliged to at least bring all of this to people's attention. Okay. And with regard to that, what we've done is we have teamed up with Irish Life. Now, only 5% of the brokers out there have this kind of relationship with Irish Life. And on the back of that, they have this one policy that's only available to those 5% of brokers called One Plan.
One Plan, yep.
That basically is. So there's no, from my point of view, I don't like to be a pushy salesman. So what this does is it's regulated by the central bank. So the central bank have reviewed this and they're happy. It gives a kind of a full financial review for our clients to highlight the areas of risk or vulnerability to certain things happening, and then give them a kind of what they should be covering. If they were happy to take just a very comprehensive cover, or somewhere in the middle, or somewhere just kind of at a basic, and then give the clients then the choice what they want based on available budget and what level of risk they're comfortable taking with regard to their financial future in the case of something else, in something going wrong. Okay. So what I'm delighted about with this isn't us trying to sell anything. This is us just presenting what had been basically revised and reviewed, and we can just present it happy in the knowledge that we have done our job properly, and
Yeah,
that the client then makes the decision as to what they feel they're most
of
comfortable
course.
with.
Of course. I mean, it's a great service. It's a great tool. It's again, that's the tricky thing with insurance is you don't need it till you need it. But I bet if
Yeah,
you
and
polled,
I don't know about you, Norm, but when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I thought I was invincible from a health point of view. I thought nothing would go wrong. No,
yeah,
you get over life teaches you some harsh lessons along the way, but depending on when you're taking something out, you might you might feel you're perfectly healthy, you know. And I always say to people, not I don't know we have this conversation, but kind of when I talk to anyone asks me about car insurance or just simply conversation, saying, well, listen, it completely is a waste of money, but you want it to be a waste of money, if that makes any sense. Because if it's a waste of money, well, then nothing's gone wrong.
yeah,
Is that
exactly. It's a hedge against what if, and when you're young, exactly to your point, you're, just putting you're spending every dollar, enjoying life, or you think you're invincible. But when you're in your 30s, 40s, and then health becomes everything in your 40s,
and we
50s.
stop
But
counting after then, don't we?
yeah, we sure do. I hope. But also, the thing is, when people enter that stage of life, when they have a wife or a husband, when they have children, they have a lot more to lose. And it's not just themselves that they're thinking about. And so, it's you look at the cost of not having it if something happens. And I bet if you polled 100 people who had a medical disability, lost their job, a loved one had cancer, all these things that life could throw us, a sick kid, all these things that are terrible that happen in life. I bet 100 of them would say they were happy they had this insurance, if they did have it, or they wish they had it, right? So, again, I think you have a great viewpoint on it, where it's not for everyone and it's a personal choice. Here's the information. If you want it, here's the best option. As you as a broker and one of the only 5% mortgage brokers that offer this one
Yeah,
plan. And so if it is right for you, let's look at it together. If you do want it, I could help you,
yeah. And from our point of view, is like as I said, the journey of buying a house is a very exciting journey, and it's one that you could you could easily ignore this. To understand, as in you like one of the bank only needs you to cover insurance in case of death, right? But this is the kind of one time in your life. Like I'm a big believer in spending your life working on important things that are not urgent. But a lot of people just spend their lives just dealing with the urgent rather than the important. So
Mm-hmm.
having yourself covered in the event of death, illness, is never urgent because at a moment in time you're fine, okay. But it's always important to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So where getting a mortgage kind of forces it's a it's a it's a point in time where well you're looking at it anyway. So you should take advantage of looking at it in its totality and taking a view of the mortgage in its totality with regard to your overall life, not just one entity in its own right. So so I'm delighted to be able to have this offer to bring to people's attention where obviously self-analyze, but the questions that it's designed to ask gets people thinking around the what ifs, right?
Yeah.
Um, like how, like if you have a 5-year-old child and something was to happen, what level of cover would you need in place to say the age of 25? That's the way that the central bank have agreed that that's the perfect age to kind of at that point kids should be self-sufficient. And my mother always says with her for life, but that's a different conversation. But in relation to proper planning, um,
Yeah.
they would look at, so they feel something. If the age of the kid is 5, you need some extra cover to cover 20 years. But as the kid is getting older, that level of cover can diminish. So you can tailor it to specifics. And I just think it's a great offering to be able to put in front of people and then let them decide. So they've then done
Yeah.
their own due diligence, and then they've then made their own kind of um, choices about, okay,
Hmm.
well, yes, we're comfortable not taking this, or we're not comfortable not taking this. At least they've
Yeah,
educated themselves. You know?
absolutely. It's their choice. And like you said, by the time you need it, if you lost a job, if you have especially a sick, person is sick or in a car crash or whatever happens, by the time you need it, you can't react. You can't get it then. It's only something you could get ahead of time it's got to be important but not urgent ahead of time. And when you are getting your mortgage, when you have a house, all of a sudden it's a different conversation around finances because this is a hedge against losing that house and and defaulting on mortgage and everything that you worked so hard for and setting yourself back so far if something does happen in life or like an illness or whatever. So yeah, it's not for everyone. 10
No, and
years
it's
ago.
no, and it's all about knowing what your kind of your this not disposable, your discretionary spend is, right?
Yeah.
What how much per month do you have discretionary spend to do whatever you want with, right? And it's based on that, knowing what that figure is will determine how much you feel you could put towards something. And
Yeah.
as I said, every day you're never going to think about this in real terms. But if you think about it when something happens, unfortunately, it's then too late. So
Yeah.
uh, when getting a mortgage, this is a great opportunity for at least taking a full view. I've never personally wanted to be involved in this to a degree. I've done it before, but I prefer asking it to someone who is comfortable talking about these these unfortunate things that can happen in life. But with this particular offering, I'm never actually going to be comfortable because I'm not going to push anything down anyone's throat. I'm just saying, here's your options, folks. You
Of
tell
course.
me, and we'll just make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. As a good example, if 5 years ago you someone presented this to me, I've said, no way, that's I don't need it. I'm fine. This could never happen to me. I'm invincible. I'm youngish, still clinging to semi-young, but and I don't have the income for it and stuff. And then today I would sign up as quickly as I could, and that's just how people's needs and priorities change and how you start looking at that next phase of your life and protecting what you have,
Yeah.
including your family and your health, So that's
And
great.
as I mentioned earlier, like, when we got the news that one of our clients, lady after 4 months, had been diagnosed with cancer, it was awfully sad. And yet we almost felt, well, this person had made the right choice. Suddenly, all the financial worries are taken out of
Yeah.
their life, which
Yep.
would have been huge on top of having to basically battle through a recovery phase. So we were delighted that we had the time to take on board. And it was unusual because the husband wasn't able to get this because of an underlying medical issue. So normally in this case, if one person can't get it, the other person will say, you know what, I don't need it either, right? But she made the choice that she did feel she needed it. Um,
Hmm.
and well, from a financial planning point of view, I wish she didn't need it, but unfortunately she did. But she made the right choice basically. But as I
Yeah.
said,
And
with insurance, you hope to God it's a wasted money, but it just
yeah,
keeps you
that's the
protected.
best case scenario, right? Best
Yeah,
case scenario is, wow, I paid all these premiums and nothing happened. That's the biggest win you could have is if you quote unquote wasted that money, right? And you don't wish for any other circumstance or any other scenario.
no, we certainly don't. And God, she was so lovely, and oh, my heart breaks when I think about it. To be honest with you, um, but I'm not saying from a business, but from a business, but from a personal, I'm just so
Yeah.
laid back all. You know, our
And you
situation
said
was
it. And you said it yourself, like when someone is going through something like this, whether it's cancer or a sick loved one or a child or, an injury, a terrible injury, whatever, a death, and it's you can't even imagine the pressure of having the financial burden of, oh my God, where are we going to live? How are we going to pay our bills? Where are we going to, how are we going to pay for extra treatment? How are we going to do? I mean, it's like the whole world is on your shoulders that you can't sleep. I mean, you literally, this just consumes you and you can't breathe. And so to have the
But my
financial aspect
grandmother,
taken out
she
of
didn't
it,
know,
yeah,
she, because of the news was so devastating, she didn't know. She knew she had something, but she was wondering what did she have? What did she take out? So at least it takes one level of worry away from her, which is massive. And then literally all she has to do is worry about focusing on getting better as soon as possible, So
yeah. And so, John, I have in front of me three particulars or specifics of this plan and what they cover, and maybe I could mention them and you could give a little bit of feedback or explain them.
absolutely, yeah,
Um, so the first one is family income replacement.
yeah. Well, that would be it's in relation to the sort of on debt. Um, it pays out a lump sum. Okay, so depend whatever what would have been looked at in coming up with that figure would be the level of mortgage. Do you have any cover with your job? And what age are your kids? Right. That would then
Hmm.
determine the level of extra cover that you might need, and then it would be tailored with regards to um, whenever the youngest child would get to the age of 25. So that would be what that covers there, basically. So it factors everything in. It advises you what extra cover you might need on top of having your mortgage cleared, so that um, well, the mortgage may be cleared, but that's only say 30% of expenses. A lot of other things that would need to be taken
Yeah.
care of on top of that. So that was what would factor that in.
Yeah. And then the second one is monthly bill coverage.
But yeah, there's two sides to this one. This is a bit similar to you get sick, okay, and you can't go back to work for a period of time. This then basically would be a form of replacement income to cover your bills, your major bills. So your mortgage, your heating, your light and food, right? You get something in line with what you're spending on a monthly basis to cover those things. And that's it's kind of a form of income protection
Yeah.
where your income is paid to cover just your kind of the major bills that you would have. There's obviously details around that, but we would obviously go through that in much more detail on a
Yeah.
review call.
And then the last one, the third big one, is lump sum for recovery if you're diagnosed with a specific illness.
Yeah, well, that's basically if okay, if you got a serious illness and you decided you wanted X amount of cover, and you'd make a call as to how much you'd feel you'd need. If you would you want to be able to recover for a year? Would you want to recover for 2 years? So that would determine the level of lump sum that you would need. What level of yearly costs would you have that would need to be taken care of? So that's what that is. So you got kind of one of the major illnesses: heart attack, cancer, stroke,
Yeah.
and those basically big ones. They would be a big payout that would help you recover because with modern medicine, more and more people do recover, right? But you need to
Yeah.
make sure you're financially ruined in the process of recovering.
Yeah. And maybe then, since you broke it down so well, you could tell people basically what the process is to apply for this, how they apply, like, through you and your service,
We
what's
do
the
this,
right
yeah,
time to contact you, all of that.
we do this in two ways. We would do this, obviously, this is something new that we've just taken on board. Um, but the one thing I do, and I didn't mention this, what I do like is it's a tailored plan, okay? So it's reviewable and you can always add to it or subtract to it as life brings new events. So if you suddenly add another child, um, you may need to take extra cover, but you can add to it. It doesn't. You're not starting again, basically, right? Or if your income's went up, or for some reason you didn't feel you needed something anymore, you can always reduce it. So it's which I really like. It's a plan that you don't need to like you want to do something else. You don't need to close. You can add to it, or you can subtract. Okay. So
That's
it's
great. So
actually
it's not set in stone. You could, as
not
your
set in
life
stone.
changes, your needs, your income, your family, everything changes. It's all adjustable, huh?
Absolutely, and I really like that part of it. Um, just in relation to how we would bring this, what we would do is, and what another thing I like about, me, I like technology and processes to make things as quickly as possible for people and for ourselves. When they have a system whereby all the medical questions that the client doesn't need to fill in manual fill in form, they'll get a link with a list of all their medical questions, and they would respond and would go direct into Irish Life. And if there's any more information needed, they can come back with extra questions, or information could be questioned or could be sent out to your doctor to get that extra information. But it's a very slick process, and it's very very efficiently. That was the kind of the biggest um, one of the biggest reasons, on top of just being able to produce a kind of an offering to clients that they could understand and work through the technology, kind of was the clincher of it behind it, so that it wasn't going to be bringing more grief into people's lives just to make it the process happen. But so we do this in two stages. We're going to roll it out. Obviously, we're going to be doing it in conjunction with the mortgage when they're looking to close the mortgage. We will have that review at that point in time. Okay, so that it'll be done in line with, well, at a moment in time when you're actually making one of the biggest financial decisions in your life, you should be taking a holistic view of your set of circumstances. Obviously, we're open to having this conversation with anyone and everyone who's interested in having this conversation, because, well, as I mentioned earlier on, nobody ever views this on a daily basis as urgent, but it's
Yeah.
very important. So it's something that if someone feels it's important and wants to act on something important, whether they've got a mortgage now or not, but they might just have the bare minimum cover and don't feel that they're adequately covered, well, then it's a conversation we'll be very open to having. And just taking a review, because I say, what I pride myself and the team on it is not being a pushy salesperson. We are always here to advise and recommend, but ultimately the decision would lie with our client and our customer, and then we just facilitate what they want.
Yeah. That's great. And I know we have a page on the website where people could go, and jcmortgages.ie/insurance / and then of course they could just call you, and you have some dedicated representatives that are at your office now that are dealing with
One of the
this.
girls has
So
been with me. I've been in the business for 30 years doing this, so she has a huge amount of experience.
yeah,
I have a couple of other people who are trained in. It's a conversation that I've had in the past, and with this, I'm going to be having these conversations now myself, because I feel it's really, really important. But what I never wanted to do was be pushing insurance on people, because I didn't want to affect my kind of relationship with people. But
yeah,
this is not pushy selling at all. This is, here you go, folks. These are really well researched. Here's a proper review. You tell me what you want, and I'll make it happen. So
yeah.
I'm very comfortable standing over that.
All right, everyone. So that was TN Mortgage episode number 19. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast on a very serious but very important topic. And John, thanks for sharing a little bit of knowledge and help for your clients.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome. It's not obviously a conversation we want to be having, but it's an incredibly important conversation that people need to know about and look at. And we're delighted to be able to at least bring something that we feel is of great value to people so they can make informed decisions.